Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, a special presentation from Clydesdale Media. I'm Kat Shear. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone about some of our sponsors. RX Smart Gear provides world-class jump ropes, grips, and other gear for us all. Use the code Clydesdale15 for 15% off your order at rxsmartgear.com. Mobility Movement is a program that teaches you how to increase your capacity to heal, reduce recovery time, and restore your nervous system to peak health. Everyone gets a 7-day trial, and after that, our followers will get their first month free when they use the code Clydesdale Free Month at mobilitymovement.com. And finally, C4 Energy, delivering the most effective, best tasting, and highest quality products. Get 20% off when you use the code Clydesdale at checkout at c4energy.com. And today on the broadcast, we have Atlas Games semifinalist Drake Lewis. Drake, thanks for joining. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Just going to get to know you a little bit so that when we're watching you on the field in a week or so, we know a little bit more about the kind of guy you are. Sound good?
Yeah, right on.
Awesome. Okay. So it looks like 2022 is just your third season for participating in the CrossFit Games type deal. Is that true?
Yeah, about 3 years, kind of back when I started CrossFit. I just finished playing collegiate baseball for 2 years and then just kind of adapted over into CrossFit lifestyle. So
awesome. Now it looks like you were just outside of qualifying this year. And did you receive a backfill for Atlas Games?
I did. I was at 122 and was patiently waiting, planning on a backfill just based off of last year's outturn with hearing about backfills. I was counting on getting one, and then a couple weeks after invites were sent out, I eventually received the backfill.
So how does that work? When do you get contacted or notified about any of that?
Yeah, so I didn't have really any communication. Really, all I saw is when they set out the official invitations. Kind of everyone was like talking about getting their official invites and seeing them, and I would just constantly just refreshing my email, waiting to hear anything back, and just nothing for like 2 straight weeks. And I would kept checking the semifinal roster leaderboards, and I obviously was just counting down the line and be like, well, I still am counting 7 empty spots or whatever. So I should be in the clear. Where's my invite? So I just tried to be patient and wait. And then eventually just 2 weeks later, just all of a sudden, just refreshed my email, just sent me out an invite, said I was invited to the Atlas Games, and it said you have 24 hours to accept or decline. And of course I made the decision to accept. So
now, knowing that there were 4 to choose from, what were your thoughts on Atlas Game being the one that you got placed at?
Yeah, I was actually pretty frustrated. A little bit. I'm still kind of rolling with the punches the way it is. Obviously it's a stretch. I'm from Utah, so it's clear on the other side. Like, it's very long ways away. Obviously, you got to get passport to go out of the country. Vaccine status.
Did you have a passport?
I did have a passport. Luckily.
Okay, and it was valid and all that.
Yeah, it was. So that was good to go there. But the most frustrating thing is too, I mean, if you played into the whole quarterfinal mess with the leaderboard and everything, I was like one of 4 athletes that was pointed out on like Andrew Hiller's videos. If they would have fixed the leaderboard after that workout 3, I actually should have been placed in the top 120. So I was definitely a little frustrated, thinking like, well, if maybe the leaderboard was adjusted right, I'd be going to a semifinal in the States or whatnot. And so a little bitter about that for a while, but not a whole lot I could do. So I just kind of went along with it regardless.
Sure. Have you had a chance to watch some of the semifinals that have gone down?
Yeah, I've been keeping up to date on all of them. I watched most of the events, at least for the individual males, some of the females, both last weekends.
Any key takeaways for yourself?
I don't know about
highlights.
I would just say, I would just notice that there's some similarity in the events, just kind of some things that I can probably expect. Some duration in the workouts. They kind of had some similar themes. Some of the torque sleds, both of them had some GHDs. Just kind of thinking about the long duration workouts, knowing how I can have some grunt workouts, and then just kind of trying to match myself up to think how I would do in those similar style workouts, basically.
Do you have any insight as to when the workouts will get released?
I don't. I assume that sometime any day now. It looks like the common theme for most of them is they released most of them about a week prior. So I would assume by the end of this week they'll start releasing a couple, but I'm definitely getting pretty anxious to hear what some of them are.
Yeah, I bet. Will you plan to do some kind of like mock weekend or, throw a couple days of training together to try to test them all? Or what's your philosophy on that?
I'm sure. So I follow proven programming. So I'm kind of
Okay.
following just kind of the track they're putting out for me. They have like a
Hmm.
specific semifinal track to kind of taper for that. So I'm assuming they'll kind of put out a couple samples, whether it'll be testing the full workout or at least doing this kind of like a primer for it. But definitely the last few weeks, I've been touching a ton on the complex and the rope climb workout several times,
Okay.
just testing those out the last few weeks.
Which one do you like better?
Definitely the complex. The
Okay.
strength's a little bit more in my tool belt. The rope climbs, we'll see.
Okay. So you mentioned that you played college baseball. I didn't see any baseball pictures on your Instagram. I only saw football pictures. So tell me about that.
Yeah, that was back. Football was back in my high school days. But I
Okay.
played 2 years of collegiate baseball. I played at a junior college here at Salt Lake City
Hmm.
for 2 years. It's called Salt Lake Community College. Yeah, I don't know why I necessarily never posted pictures. Maybe I wasn't very active then on the social media, but I was a
Right.
catcher for 2 years
Okay.
there, and then just kind of mutually parted ways after my 2 years there at the junior college. I didn't go on and play anymore, and then
Hmm.
just kind of just shifted over my competitive enthusiast personality just kind of over to CrossFit. So
Any elbow or shoulder issues back from throwing people down?
elbows for sure. The very infamous UCL joint where people get a Tommy
Hmm.
John. I've had some minor tears in there, and then my hips don't love me from squatting all my
From
life
squatting.
catching. So
Yeah.
it's been a big part in just trying to get mobile through CrossFit and just trying to loosen everything up all the time. So
Okay. So I'm gonna go through. I've gone through your Instagram, and I'm just gonna ask you questions based on some of the pictures that I saw. And that's gonna be, I think, a good way to get to know you a little bit. So we talked
yeah,
about football. You played that in high school. Didn't know about the baseball thing, but I guess you just didn't have your phone around to take
yeah,
pictures then. Let's talk about your mom.
yeah. So my mom's actually the first person that like I was ever introduced into CrossFit. She's like an OG CrossFitter. She started back in like '09, I think, at like a small
Okay.
box where we're from, Southern Utah. And so I was kind of just like introduced to CrossFit, at least what it was then. And she's done it forever. She's always been an avid CrossFitter, and she's super fit. She's like 56 years old. She could probably go masters if she wanted to compete. She's crazy fit. And then so I kind of tested it out when I was like younger, like 12 years old, but never really like had any super big passion for it because I was just playing my sports. And then eventually, she was probably the biggest reason why I just decided to start later on in the future, just because I was like, well, it's awesome. I see what it's done for her, and so I just wanted to give it a shot as well. So
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Let's talk about your girlfriend, now wife, mother of your child. She's in a bunch of pictures, clearly.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. My wife, she's my best friend. We've been married now for like 2.5 years, I think. Yeah, should be coming
Okay.
up 3 this year. Been together, I think, almost 5 years. So yeah, married 2.5. We recently just had a newborn son. I guess I don't know if you'd say newborn, 5 months old now. We just had him at the end of 2021. So that's
Yeah,
been
you're still not getting any sleep. So yeah, that
no, yeah,
counts.
this season has been a whirlwind of emotions and just a lot of changes in lifestyle. Just things have been all over the place. But yeah, we're very happy and uh, we love our baby boy a ton. So he's the best.
That's great. And you're only 23, right?
Correct. I just turned 23 in April.
Okay, so you're a young guy to be starting a family and all that too. Lots of responsibility. You have
Yeah.
a dog named. Do you have a dog named Rufus?
His name's Fraser, actually.
Oh, is Rufus a nickname?
I don't know if I Rufus. I don't. Did you read Rufus somewhere? I don't know.
I picked it up on one of your on one of your captions on Instagram. But what's his name?
It's Fraser. Yeah.
Fraser. Okay,
Yep.
I
Yep.
get it. And what kind of
Yep.
dog is he?
He's a mix of an English and French bulldog.
Okay.
He's a
Yeah,
chunky
I
little
was gonna
dude.
say he was a Frenchie, but he's like a little bit bigger and stockier than your normal
Yeah.
Frenchie.
He's got that English in him, makes him real chunky.
I love it. And you said you're part of the proven team. Nick your primary guy? Nick Johnston?
So he's the one that does I just do the standard compete programming that they do, but so yeah,
Okay,
he's in charge of that one. I just jumped on to Proven back in October, so I've been on it
got
six
it.
months or so. And then I was able to actually go out to the proven semifinal camp about a month or so ago and kind of meet those guys and get around that training environment.
What was that like for you to experience like all those elite level people?
It was unreal, a priceless experience that I knew I had to go. It took a lot like to make it happen. To obviously, fly out to
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee. Just kind of, I was in the middle of my finishing my semester at school. Just kind
Okay.
of had a lot going on, right? But I just knew that that kind of experience, being around that in training environment, those coaches, just being kind of like in a narrow scope field of those guys, and just getting to train around them was just going to change the game for me, and really just kind of set expectations for like where I knew I needed to be competitive and good in the sport, you know?
Yeah. What were some of the big takeaways from that weekend that you learned about yourself, or things that you need to improve upon or focus on?
Uh, Really just kind of seeing the reality of the time that it takes, and what like the training needs to look like on a consistent basis. Basically, they wanted to make that weekend like a mock weekend of what their training schedule looks like on a regular basis, and just
Okay.
being in the gym 5 6 hours each day we were there. Just going through full training sessions, it was just eye opening. Like, okay, like this is what the intensity, this is what kind of the volume needs to look like on a regular basis if you do want to be like competitive and grow as an athlete.
Did that sort of invigorate you and make you want to do it more, or was it more discouraging, like, I don't know if this is what I want to do?
It definitely made me more motivated. I was actually worried that that would happen, kind of like seeing those
Hmm.
top level guys, especially like Saxon and Will Morad, right? Top games guys, obviously Tia and Brooke. I was like, am I even going to fit in with these guys? And I mean, obviously, I could see some separation while I was there, but in like so many ways, I did feel like I belonged and was able to hold my own by all means. And so that was actually a pretty big confidence boost, especially going into semifinals. Like, okay, like regardless that I'm a backfill or wherever I've been at, like I do feel like I deserve to be here, and like I know that I have what it takes to be capable of being a top level athlete.
Yeah, and for you just kind of getting started too. I mean, you have to remember, like, Tia, Brooke, Will, they've been doing this for a lot longer than you have.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
you got
know
to
that.
kind of go
Yeah,
ahead.
there's. Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
I say I just one thing that's always stood out to me is I just know that there's like such a bare minimum like level of entry to get to this sport, and like I've known that since the day I started, and
Hmm.
I've tried to just be patient with that since day one, and like obviously like I know that it takes years and years to do it. Like even if you look at the young guys that are coming up in this sport, you know, Sprague, Pepper, they're young guys, but they've even still been
They've
doing
been
it
doing it a
longer than
while,
I have, like since they were like
right?
12 and 13 years old. So I just knew just since day one that like my patience has to just be, you know, high, because I just know that you can only get so much better so fast. And that's just basically what I've been doing, you know, just trying to stack one brick at a time, just day by day, month by month, every year since I've started. So
Yeah. So you mentioned school. Are you full time, part time? Do you have another job? Clear, you're not a
yeah,
full time athlete, right?
yeah, no, by no means. Yeah, I go to school full time. I'm in my summer semester or summer right now, so I'm off. I only have one more semester left in the fall, and then I'll graduate with my bachelor's. So been to
Okay.
going to school the past 4 years. I'm a coach at my gym, so I coach part time at my gym, and then I also work at a restaurant. I wait tables at night because that's the flexibility that I have to be able to train in the
Holy
morning,
crap.
coach, go be a dad half the day, and then go work at night so I can pay the bills.
All right. So how much sleep are you getting?
A good night is 6 hours. Like that's golden. So if I'm like,
Okay.
because I coach the 5 and 6 a.m. classes most mornings, so it's
Hmm.
usually up by 4, coach 5 and 6, train from 7 to 10:30, you know, and then just get sleep where I can. I try to take a lot of naps if I can.
Okay. So you must have a very supportive and understanding wife.
Absolutely, she's my number one supporter. She's known since day one like the drive and passion I have for why I do what I do. And
Hmm.
she tries to make everything else at home easier, right? I mean, I tell her all the time what she's doing, being a full time mom is harder than what I'm doing. She doesn't believe me, but I think she's working a lot harder than I am. So just doing the small stuff, keeping up around the house, taking care of the baby, making me food, all the things you can think of.
Love it. Yeah, that's great. So, how big of a trip is it for you to get to the Alice Games? What's all involved with that?
Um,
Meaning like
Just
physically
like,
getting there. Sorry.
yeah. So I'm from southern part of Utah, and so we're flying out. My parents and I are going. Actually, my wife's not going to be able to go. That's one of the frustrating things with our baby. Doesn't have a passport and stuff, so can't really. It's hard to leave him behind. So we're flying out of Vegas. Flights were just cheaper from Vegas, so I'll be flying out next week. It's like a 6-hour flight, I think, and then gotta stay at somewhere in Montreal. I have no idea what the demographic of Montreal looks like or anything. Some random hotel. I think close enough to the venue that is what we could find. And just luckily that my affiliate here back home, we did a fundraiser, made a lot of shirts. A lot of people have been very supportive and understand like the work I put in to make it here. And so I've had a lot of love and support from the members here at my gym. So
that's great. What who's going to have your coach's pass for the weekend?
Nobody. I don't think I haven't thought that through. I've been kind of riding solo. I don't have anyone. It's kind of the way the way the cookie crumbled for me going to Atlas games. There's no one out there really that's going to be on board.
Okay. So anyone that's watching that wants to make the trip, knows a little bit about CrossFit and knows how to carry bags and like keep a schedule, Drake's taking applications for coach's pass.
Yeah, hit me
up. Great
up.
opportunity. I love that. When was the last time you were in like a live individual competition?
Yeah, it would have been in August in the fall 21. There's a competition called the Iron Games. Yep. So my
your backyard.
Really good, yep, that's where I'm from. I'm from Cedar City, so that's actually where I was born and raised. And then I've just moved up to the northern part of Utah. But one of my really good buddies, Brigham Nelson, is the one who runs that event. He's actually what started me out in CrossFit. He was my one-on-one coach for the first 2.5 years, actually up until that event right there. So I've been very invested into that competition since the very start of it. I've gone every single year. And every single year, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and growing. So it's actually, I would say, probably one of the bigger competitions out on the West Coast for CrossFit, and it just continues to grow.
Awesome. So what would you say your ultimate goal for the weekend is?
I'd like to be a top 15 finish. I think that would be, that's a very, I think, challenging goal for myself, but I know doable as long as I just attack workouts appropriately and just kind of, I think, do my best. I just know that this weekend is going to be more of a learning weekend more than anything for me. Just being able to match up against the top in the sport, right? Seeing Pat Vellner, Cedric LaPointe, all those guys that have been doing it for years. Just seeing how they move, how they compete, what the atmosphere feels like in competition. Just take this year as my learning year so that for the future years I can just be more prepared and just more experienced as I go.
Yeah. Have you ever gone to watch the CrossFit Games?
I have not. I always told my wife, we thought about it in the past about going, and I was like, actually, I don't want to go watch the games until I'm there competing. I want that to be the first time I go to the games. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so last question. What would you like people to be saying about you after watching you compete this weekend?
Oh, that's a tough question. I would just say, hopefully they can just look at me as someone who just leaves it all out on the floor, right? I don't want to get caught up in like the hype of anything going on. Just want to take one event at a time. Just kind of try to give my best effort and just attack workouts smartly and just look like I know what I'm doing, right? Not show emotions out on the floor. Just be someone who looks like a level-headed competitor and just knows how to go hard when it's time to, and just someone who competes with a lot of grit and tenacity.
I love it. Well, I'm going to make it my job now to find you somebody legit to take your coach's pass. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been great to get to know you, Drake. Best of luck at the Atlas Games, and it sounds like you got a bright future in the sport. So I'd love to be the one that says, oh yeah, we talked to Drake way back when, before anyone really knew who he was.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
I love it too. All right, buddy. Have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Stay in touch.